Волкова Яна Александровна, я буду вести вашу секцию. Наш модератор – это Алла Анатольевна, которую вы сейчас тоже видите, она себя представит. Она аспирантка нашего первого курса Института иностранных языков Российского университета дружбы народов. Так, значит, я бы хотела, прежде чем мы начнем и объявим регламент, я бы хотела проверить, кто из присутствующих, да, то есть кто из людей в программе сейчас у нас присутствует. И вот мне бы хотелось проверить первый доклад, а именно Марина Ласкова, Владимир Лазарев, Игорь Кудряшов из Южного федерального университета. Есть ли у нас такие люди? Просто я в списке не вижу, но они могут быть под словом «гость». Нет, нет, наверное, да. Алла Анатольевна, они презентацию не присылали?
Нет, мне не присылали и не ответили.
Не ответили, так, понятно. Так, вот я вижу коллегу из Китая. Чен Янань, Chinese colleague. I don't know how to pronounce you. I'm very sorry. So, how should I pronounce your name, please? Oh, I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Oh, no sound. No, will you kindly say something more? I can't hear you. No, no sound. All right. I guess she's checking. Так, the next probably will define with we'll set the language. Возможно, нам надо с языком определиться, на каком языке мне вести лучше сессию. На английском или на русском? Все говорят по-английски, присутствующие?
Да.
Да? Хорошо. Нет, просто я смотрю, если кто-то, так как у нас есть иностранные гости, возможно, имеет смысл перейти на английский язык, если это никого не затруднит. Скажите, пожалуйста, можно включить, можно написать в чате.
Владеем английским языком, но если возможно по-русски, можно и по-русски. Я презентацию отправила на английском.
Ага. Okay. So, actually, I can do both. I can do it in English and in Russian, so no problem. So, but all right. So, our Chinese guest, I think she's trying to do something with her microphone. Okay, so our next presentation. Следующая презентация Ирины Казакова, Арина Карпухина, Александра Сенцова. Я вижу фамилии в чате. Коллеги, вы готовы?
Yes, we're ready.
Yes, all right. Далее у нас один докладчик, к сожалению, не сможет принять участие. Это доклад Александра Малышева из Санкт-Петербургского университета. Он написал, что у него проблемы на работе, его вызвали срочно заменять преподавателя заболевшего, поэтому он с нами не будет. Так, я вижу Жабо Наталью Ивановну и Марину Авдонину, к сожалению, отчество Ю стоит.
Да, Марина будет, потому что у меня идут пары, я буду, как говорится, и туда, и сюда.
Ага, то есть вы будете на два фронта.
Я буду на два фронта, да.
Так, замечательно.
Мы презентацию будем сами показывать, нам проще так, потому что там нужно подключать вот ресурсы еще внешние и презентацию. Мы ее выслали, но показывать будем сами. Все, Марина Юрьевна, садитесь, я пошла.
Так. Хорошо. Так, Данилова Юлия Владимировна, я вас вижу, да, вы готовы, все с презентацией. Так, у меня плюс стоит. И дальше Марина Воробьева, Вероника Филимонова, Анна Садофьева. Есть такие люди?
Да, здесь.
Есть, прекрасно. И Мария Степанова и Анжелика Айрапетян. Не вижу. Ну, может быть, они потом подсоединятся. Итак, на настоящий момент у нас 6 докладов. Единственное, я позволю себе еще раз проверить китайскую коллегу. Can you hear me? Oh. So.
Нет,
Oh.
пока что какая-то проблема.
Seems to be a problem. Oh, can you hear me, Chen Yanan? Yeah? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? There seems to be a problem.
I just send you a message.
All right. Can you write something? Okay, I'll send her a message
Yes, so I just
in chat. No. Okay.
Вас не слышу. Пойдет.
Смотри, сидит. Да.
Всё. Так, она вышла. Ну, давайте пока начнем. Я думаю, что потихонечку, может быть, начнут, может быть, что-то получится. Итак, позвольте поговорить немножко о регламенте. Значит, регламент у нас с вами 10 минут на выступление, и определенное время мы даем на вопросы. Вот я бы хотела с уважаемыми коллегами обсудить этот момент. Хотели бы вы, чтобы сразу вопросы задавались или потом, в конце сессии?
Может быть, потом?
А?
Я предпочитаю сейчас, сразу.
Сразу же, после каждого вопроса. Хорошо. Тогда прошу вас, если какие-то проблемы с презентацией вам включить или поделиться, то это можем сделать мы, но вам придется говорить, что надо переключать слайды следующие. Итак, первый доклад, который у нас сегодня выступает. Сегодня мы с вами говорим о том, как межкультурная коммуникация проявляет себя в различных сферах образовательной деятельности и в различных сферах общения. И мы с вами начинаем с доклада, который бы, ну, по идее, у нас первая китайская коллега выступает по списку, но вот я не вижу никак, не могу понять, что происходит. Присоединилась, опять присоединилась, ушла. Алла Анатольевна, вы не могли бы проследить, пока я буду как бы вести? Вот как только китайская коллега подсоединится к нам, тогда мы ее возьмем. Итак, первое сообщение по списку. Это выступают наши коллеги молодые: Арина Карпухина, Александра Сенцова и Ирина Казакова. Тема презентации: The Analysis of Educational Systems in England and New Zealand as Formation Means of Linguistic Space. So please.
Yeah, hello. One
Hello.
second.
Can you share your presentation with us?
Yes, we can.
But we are going to present you without Irina Evgenievna Kazakova.
So she's not here with us. All right.
Nope.
Yes, one sec. Okay, do you see presentation?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's full screen now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
We do.
Okay. Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Today my research partner Irina and I, my name is Alexandra, are going to present you the analysis of educational systems in England and New Zealand as formation means of linguistic space. The aim of this research is to study and analyze British and New Zealand educational spheres, as well as their systems which form linguistic space.
The next slide. Thank you. So let's start with New Zealand. In New Zealand, its educational system and language have a very rich history, and they're also indivisible. The system is based on the British one, which was formed after the Anglo-Saxon colonization. In 1871, their indigenous language was banned in educational institutions, what actually resulted in its needlessness. Therefore, after decolonization, it was decided to reform the educational system, just in order to revive the Maori language as the part of the New Zealanders' culture and uniqueness. So the first steps in this kind of national identity root can be traced back to the 20th century, when the concept of languageness was born. These language nests were established to teach and also to surround preschool kids with the Mari language. So these kids who graduated from such nests later could study at specialized schools, which were called Kura Kupapa Mari and Wayananga universities.
As mentioned above, the New Zealand educational system is built on the British one, which had a generational structure. The organizational charts of the most prestigious Old or Stone universities, such as Oxford or Cambridge, was associated with collegiate universities with a high degree of autonomy. Due to it, the first universities adapted dynamically to changing conditions. At the end of the 19th and 20th century, red brick higher educational institutions were built, which became a consequence of the Industrial Revolution and the growing need for qualified managers. The third generation of universities, new or glass, appeared after the Second World War. Their structure was aimed at solving post-war problems and at mastering new technologies. Accordingly, due to this generational structure, the British educational system has easily undergone new changes compared to New Zealand, which had to adapt to the needs of the local population.
So here you can look on the right of this picture. So it is notable that according to the 2018 Education Index, this index shows the prosperity of a country and also its place on the education development level. So as we can see, New Zealand in 2018 took the 14th place with a number of 0.921,000. And Great Britain took the 15th with 0.9200. So this means that the New Zealanders are more literate than the British. However, we can also see that in 2020, Great Britain took the 13th place with 0.932,000, while New Zealand took the 14th with 0.931,000.
Also, we decided to conduct a survey among 30 bachelors and magistrates of RUDN University, and they were asked following questions: whether they knew anything about educational systems in the United Kingdom and New Zealand and their difference, whether it is important to revive their forgotten languages, and whether they knew about Maori language and its impact on education in New Zealand. According to the responses, the existing literature on the differences between the British educational system and New Zealand is insufficient. Moreover, respondents don't see any need for the revival of forgotten languages.
Well, and to conclude all the mentioned above, we can say that the New Zealand educational system projected itself on the British one, but it also has a distinction. The New Zealand system is more progressive as it is always developing. It is strongly concentrated on the Maori culture, on its indigenous language revitalization, while the British system is more conservative and monotonous, also based on the index data, for example, for 2020, where England was ranked higher. We can suggest that such tendency occurred due to the pandemic, isolation, closed schools and universities, and most probably Great Britain has coped better with such isolation's consequences by on the educational level by providing more efficient online classes and courses. And yeah, thank you everyone for your attention and also for your time. It was a pleasure.
All right.
Thank
you, ladies. It was great pleasure to listen to your presentation. Dear colleagues, I would like to say that our Chinese colleague has written that she can't speak any, she can't speak any Russian, so I will stick to English, if you don't mind. No objections. I will translate if necessary, okay? So,
I'm so sorry. I can't.
Oh, say something, please.
Now can you hear me?
Yes,
This time?
yes,
Using
we
my
can.
phone.
Perfect.
Instead of using my computer, the computer
Oh.
doesn't work.
Great. Great, really.
Okay.
Because we were worried. We're beginning to worry. So now it's time to ask questions. Please, do you have any questions on the New Zealand system of education and its role in formation of linguistic space? Oh, please turn on the microphone.
I have one. Dear girls, tell me please, have you ever spoken a Kiwi English yourself? Have you heard the Kiwi English?
No, I've never actually spoken it. I've tried to pronounce a few names of schools and universities, but I'm sorry for my Kiwi. I think you understood that I've never spoken it.
You know, that's why I asked you, because I crossed New Zealand, and in only one case I met a person speaking a Kiwi English. Imagine the whole 20 days journey. It was a beautiful British English. And then once we saw a capsicum soup. I said, what is capsicum? The girl said, pepper. I said, what is pepper? She said, where are you from? I said, from Russia. So I brought you. And she brought, indeed, a pepper. I cried, pepper? She said, yes, of course, it's pepper. And it was the only one good pronounced New Zealand accent. So it's quite an English country. Believe me, I found a lot of people coming to work in England and then returning to New Zealand after work. So taking a retreat, having some good time, but just not working anymore. That's why perhaps they speak a very really British English. So think about it, because it's a connection. It's so far. It's impossible to even believe when you take a plane, but it's such a beautiful English. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I can send you everything you want.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina Yurievna, right?
Yes.
Marina Yurievna, thank you very much. Because I have a list of names with just the capital letters for your patronymic, and I have to guess. So thank you very much. Any other questions to our girls and their presentation about New Zealand? All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're moving on, and I'm giving the floor to our second speaker, and this is, I am sorry for my pronunciation, it's Chen Yanyan, yeah? Did I do it correctly?
Yu Yangfeng.
Yu Yanfeng, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, and your presentation is about innovative cultivation program for new engineering talents with international communicational capacity. Yes?
And should
you.
I actually try my best, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need...
Hi.
Can you see?
Anna. Oh, sorry. Did I pronounce Ella's name correctly? And here, our hostess Ella would help me to turn the page of my slides. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can you see? Can you see? Yeah. So the first slide. Yeah.
Yes, I would see the first page, and if I need you to turn, I would say next page. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on my computer, I'm looking against the same slides. Okay. So good evening, everybody, and sorry for my interrupting about my problem in my microphone just now. And now I'm back with very good sound files, and hope my presentation would bring you some idea about what's happening in the higher education system in China now. And next page, please. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. And this is there are some pictures of my beautiful campus. That's the University of Science and Technology, Liaoning. Please.
I'm very
yes.
sorry, I can't see this
Yes.
slide. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's working.
And northeastern China is very close to Russia, so we have a very long history of friendship between China, especially the people in the northeastern China, and also Russian, especially the former USSR, help us to form the industrial constructions in this place. Actually, the city of mine is Anshan City, is set up by with the help of former USSR or Russian people. And so that's why the heavy industry is very developed in this area in China. And also this is the place, the birthplace of New China's, let's say PRC's, People's Republic of China's industry base. That's the birthplace of industry of China. So here now, next page, please. Thank you. This is the page of my MOOC. Actually now Chinese government is trying to provoke everybody, every higher education teachers to form a online course. These online courses were begins from 2018, I think, 2018. And you could see this is my course. The course is called An Overview on China and Chinese Culture. Sorry, it's not showed completely. And maybe the figure is too small there. You could see the figure. The figure with the blue background actually is the view page I got in 1 year. So in 1 year, more than 1 million people have watched this course. This is a course on Chinese culture. And why this course is made and posted online and open to everybody in China, that's because, next page please. From 2020, many of provincial universities, next page please, thank you, Ella. Yes. Next page. I don't have it. Anyway, here I just begin to present people with present you some pages of the international students come to China to have their education. Before 2012, international students come to my university only to have linguistic classes, especially for China, for Chinese, or for Chinese language only. And they are short-term exchange students only. But since 2012, maybe with the development of China's industry, or say with the industrial construction fruits of China, and now people begin to come to China and have the say degree education. First degree or also master degree and doctorate degree are all recruited on our campus. And students begin to interact with Chinese students. So you could see on the page, on the first page, sorry, now I cannot see the slides, yes, but I try to select some photos of some cultural exchange activities between students. So the next one. Yeah.
Yes, page 4, please. Previous page, previously.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I am now doing the presentation, please. I will do it for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yes.
It's full screen now, right?
Thank you. Now is the fourth page. I want the fourth one. Previous
the fourth one. Yes. Yeah. This is number 4.
This is number 5, I think, what I see.
Really? No, it's number 4. I already switched it to number 4.
Oh, maybe my screen is frozen.
Oh, I see.
Oh, my side is frozen. So page 4. It's okay. Page 4, on the left. It's a Russian girl and dancing with a Chinese boy, and they are dancing the Inner Mongolian dance of China. And on the right, that's our hostess with a gala of a new year. She's from Zimbabwe. And next page, please. And now these young students are having their degree education in China. That means they are here to learn chemistry engineering, computer engineering,
and all engineering-related courses on our campus to gain the first degree or the master degree. Next page, please. And I try to put them into the same classroom to share some of my classes. I'm an English teacher. I'm a teacher of English before. My major is English language and literature. But later, when I traveled to Australia to gain my master degree with management, so I want to manage all these students in the whole, under the same roof of a, say, international classroom, and to give the Chinese students, actually, it's a helpful way to make Chinese students open to international stage of their future. But here I want to share with you what I did with some of the general courses cultivation plan in our school. Okay, thank you so much. And next page, please. So this is very crucial for Chinese people to think about the higher education system, because in the previous year, 2019, in the year of 2019, there are some, people would call it, American people call it, say, economic war, but I would call it just a fraction, some fraction between us and US. And then Chinese people begin to understand that with all the items, we got the fraction into between China and US. Chinese people only can, say, do something with the farming products, but all the industrial products were controlled by the United States. And we even cannot produce our own chip. The chip we could use in computer or phone are all imported into China. So what we could be executive, maybe only Panda. Besides Panda, we're not executive to produce anything. And next page, please. Thank you. So hereby, there's an idea about the new engineering. New engineering means two things, majorly, for my understanding. Although the Chinese government would say 5 or 6 points, but for me, a common teacher, I just got 2 points here. First is we should combine some of the disciplines together. An engineer in the new future, now any engineer couldn't speak a second language would be disbarred from his position. Engineer is not only doing the technology research or doing the technological things. They need to know how to promote their new products or new technology into the world. They need to introduce their new ideas into the world. And also, secondly, new engineering for me means engineering students, or say science students, science subjects, need to be connected with arts subjects. For me, I'm a fault product of Chinese higher education system. Since my second year in my high school, when I was 17 years old, I stopped studying science subjects because I chose to study arts. But after that, now I'm at my 40s, I began to think there's a lack in my life to understand something logically. So that's why now Chinese higher education system began to think about this with the new engineering idea. Also, we also have a project of new art, new engineering and new arts. Okay, next page. And in my school, the innovative thing, with this paper, I want to discuss an increasing number of foreign students have enrolled in the 4-year undergraduate courses in China. Universities in China, which is qualified to accept foreign students and offer them English taught courses, constantly summarizing the experience and polishing the teaching designs and resources allocation. So meanwhile, the National Ministry of Education issues the suggestions on the holistic improvement of higher education quality. Namely, we call it 30 clause on higher education. And also later, the new engineering and new arts projects were launched. So there are countless social issues emerging in contemporary China, though, and the hottest one remains the high unemployment rate for the newly graduates from universities, because they didn't got the capacity for the global computation. And the employment rate for fresh graduates from universities in China has presented a disturbing trend. To await his chances to knock at the door, many young people choose to enroll in some master degree courses and also some doctorate courses, which might lead them to even greater disappointment when they're faced with the employment things. So that's the nation. On one hand, the qualities constructors of the country are in great need, and the country calls for the new talents in engineering to represent the summit of national scientific and technology development, and also could communicate with the world. And the top-notch talents in China are defined as the trained personnel in the certain field, or the certain branch of learning, including the technological leaders or the scientific pioneers who are committed to the field and have achieved innovative scientific harvest and outstanding inventions of reformers. Next page, please. And hence, in this paper, I try to discuss this question with the following subheadings. There are some key elements I've explained before in my previous talk. And secondly, there are some experience in the cultivation plan, or say the curriculum reforming in the West and East. I compare both of them. And then the third part of my paper is the budget control realized by reallocating the existing sources. And the fourth part in my paper is a suggested conducting procedure of enrollment for a full English taught cultivation plan for the new engineering talents. And number 5 is the talent cultivation achieved by the multiple cultural classroom and a interdisciplinary curriculum. And then there are some recommendations. But today, I've already used up, I almost used up my speech time. I think I'm too talkative. But anyway, I would try to get some main point of my discussion, not just the figures, just some suggestions coming from my teaching experience in the international classroom. Next page, please. And yes, please, next slide. So the result I got from my teaching experience in my online courses and my classroom teaching is to also follow the pricing pool of new engineering talents. The higher education circle of China must carefully re-examine the present cultivation projects, because for maybe 20 or 30 years, at least, Chinese higher education system didn't really respect the importance of art subjects to science students, especially for engineering students. Engineers are supposed to do the, say, designing of the engineering projects instead of knowing the connection, or say the caring for for the whole human race. And that's why when they were in their working position, they are encountering more and more questions and problems and troubles even. Next page, please. And so when I take a variety of determinants of a successful cultivation program, eventually it is found that by reallocating and rearranging the existing full English teaching resources originally designed at the international students' cultivation could help the Chinese students to gain their ability as well. I could summarize my cultivation plan for general courses for engineering students in 4 figures: 4, 3, 2, 1. The 4 is in the first year of their study, there would be 4 subjects for general courses, including the college English and even my courses of the overview on China and Chinese culture. Although they are Chinese students, they still need to know how to convey the Chinese culture to the outsiders, I mean, international students. And the third courses, with the third and fourth basic courses, they are moving to the second year. And in the second year, there are 3 remained art subjects in their general courses. And in the third and fourth year, the courses were taught in English, even for their major courses, some of their selected major courses. Those courses were actually designed for the international students, but now they are recruited into the same classroom and say international classrooms. It seems to be sounds like very, very say easy thing, but actually it's very difficult. Would you please help me to turn to page 17? 17. Yes, this one. That's why I said it's very difficult to teach in, say, to manage an international classroom nowadays, just because of these 2 words. I hate those 2 words, political correctness. I think we both understand what that means. In our classroom, there once there is a not say incident, but actually is something shouldn't happen. In China, Chinese teachers always regarded ourselves as the elder sister for my students, or they say parents for my students. We take care of them and they need to show their respect to us as well. And so some teachers got the habit, after using the chalk on the blackboard, they would ask a duty student, say one student, to clean the chalk off the blackboard every day. So one day, the teacher of the course of Chinese just asked a African student, a black student, to come to the class, come to the front and then clean the blackboard for the teacher. And the African students criticized him as a racist and saying, there are Russian students in the classroom. Why didn't you tell a white boy to wipe those chalks but me? So that means what? That means the cultural habit of a Chinese teacher caused such kind of so-called racist dilemma for my students. The problem was caused by the teacher, not the students. And the teacher actually should have got some understanding of international, say, intercultural communication skills. But instead, we still say inhibit such kind of behavior in our classroom, even though this is a international classroom. So that's the problem. And for my students, for my Chinese students, there are also some intercommunicational problems happens. One example is, one day, one of the African girls asked another girl to help her, a Chinese girl, to help her to go to the bank, to help her to withdraw some money from the Bank of China. And then when the rendezvous time came, the African girl didn't show up. The African girl didn't show up. Actually, she asked for help. And the Chinese girl called her for half an hour. She didn't pick up. After pick up, the African girl just said, I'm very busy with my preparation for my birthday party today. So what's up? And the Chinese girl just said, hey, you asked me to accompany you to go to the bank. So where are you? And the girl said, oh, I'm so busy. I'm not going today. So birthday party seems to be very important for her, more important than the rendezvous to the bank, to be accompanied by a Chinese student, a Chinese peer. But actually for the Chinese girl, she thought her kindness were ruined and say were not respected at all. And such kind of small knot in heart would harm the girls. And we know the girls would never speak up. The the girls just talk to me, to their teacher, and try to criticize the other side. A criticize B, B criticize A to be rude, but actually, in the international classroom, such kind of things are happening maybe every second, but we didn't know, and small problems maybe led to the bigger names, racist, or maybe discrimination. Hence, it's very difficult for me to really conduct my cultivation plan in my university. But anyway, my university support me with great forces. I really have conduct at least 4 subjects with the international classroom. But unfortunately, since the beginning of 2020, we were separated from international students by the COVID-19, and even now, international students are still having the online courses without coming back to campus. So I don't know the future for my, say, reforming project, teaching reforming project for me, but I still hope that this international classroom, this international cultivation plan could go on. It's good for Chinese students to gain their, say, global competency for the future, for being a new engineering talent for this country. And also it's good for international students to get to know China, not just understand, say, knowing China from some biased news. So that's my presentation for today. And sorry, I jumped from one page to another, but because I'm too talkative, I never talk against my plan.
No problem. No problem.
So any questions? Any question is welcomed.
Should I stop the presentation? Yeah, right now.
Please stop my presentation. I think I already overused my time.
No, that's okay. We have some extra time, because we have 2 speakers absent from our panel today. Oh. So I thank you very much. It was extremely interesting, and I guess our audience could have some questions, because I do personally, but please, our guests, will you start with your questions? You can raise your hand, so you can just speak, turn on the microphones and speak as you wish. Oh, I don't see any hands, but probably some questions. All right, I have a question then. Yes, probably some people are still thinking. Yeah. So did all the events that you describe in your international classroom happen in China?
Yes.
Chinese classroom, I mean, in the Chinese university, not overseas, that African students behave this way being in a foreign country. Am I right?
Sure. International students, they are inbound China. They're inbound students in China, into China. Mm-hmm. And all things are happening in the on the Chinese, say, the campus of China.
Okay, then my second question, how did you solve this conflict? It's a conflict situation. How did you find the way out? It's not a secret.
The girlfriends talking to each other, but anyway, if it's happened between boys, this another story. But anyway, I will tell girl A to think in the shoes of girl B, and tell girl B to think about in the shoes of girl A, and they might say sorry to each other, and then things would be solved. But such kind of misunderstanding between cultures, or say the intercommunicational faults always appears. Yeah. You cannot prevent it.
Yeah, I understand you, because I teach this course of intercultural communication myself, and that's why I'm especially interested, especially probably in this situation when you, as a teacher, were accused of being a racist. How did you react? Because that's kind of very peculiar situation. Yeah, you are in your country, in your classroom, with your traditions, and you didn't mean it. And you received such a, serious accusation.
If I were the one conduct such a mistake, I would explain to my student kindly about my that's my habit, and I apologize for making him, the African students, to feel in that way. I'm sorry for causing this negative feeling, but I got my reason for doing that. Say maybe it's a bad habit for him, but I would try to clean the blackboard by myself from then on. I would like to change it, since I'm trying to show my Chinese students that such kind of misunderstanding would appear very frequently when we were all exposed to international communication, occasions frequently. Nowadays, so many international students come to our campus to visit, and we also exchange students overseas everywhere. So such kind of misunderstanding are not preventable. You cannot prevent it, but you could predict it. Or if it's happened, you could know how to react. That's what I want my students, my Chinese students, to got from my course. And for my, especially for my African students, I really want to help them to force their, cultural self-confidence. That kind of self-production system, there is a mechanism of them to protect themselves from any possible harm, from others. But such kind of self-production, chemical system, just let me think, is a kind of protection for oneself, and showing me inside they do not really believe they were respected for their own culture. So they need to set up the self-confidence. But that confidence could be gathered when their age grows and when they were in a respected, culturally friendly environment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the very idea of teaching all engineers language, English, professionally sounds fascinating. I mean, I guess it should be applied everywhere in Russia as well, because I'm afraid we have the same problem. All right, any questions? I don't see any hands. There is a special sign here on the top of the screen to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. So thank you very much, dear colleague. If we have no questions, at the end of our session, we will have some time to ask questions if you have any, to any speaker. All right, thank you. So the next presentation. Oh, thank you very much. So the next presentation is Songs of France as part of the Cultural Code, presented by Marina Avdonina and Natalia Jabot. Oh, microphone.
Я буду говорить по-русски, but dear you young pen, you can read the three positions of this paper in the abstracts, because there are only three of them, and there will be some example, so you will follow us. Я перехожу на русский язык. Здравствуйте. Поделилась экраном? Нет, покажи, как поделиться. Сейчас, секундочку, мы поделимся экраном. Да. Делиться экраном.
Yes, for every dear colleagues, please just speak in your own language. I could turn to the abstracts and to try to catch up with everybody's speech. Thank you.
Так, теперь слайд-шоу сначала. Куда надо нажимать, потом? Подожди, сначала я сказала. Это есть сначала? Нет, она просто... Вот, все, пожалуйста. Я постараюсь быть краткой, хотя мы покажем вам еще две песни все-таки. Суть нашего исследования заключается в том, чтобы увидеть песню как, в общем, новую вещь в культурном коде мира. Не национальном коде, как мы с вами привыкли, а именно в межкультурной коммуникации и, в принципе, в мировом культурном коде. И для этого мы проделали некоторые виды анализа, и наш вывод основной, с которого я и начинаю, потому что гипотеза доказана, это то, что субъективные факторы при отборе песенного материала важнее объективных характеристик данной песни. Теоретической основой такого подхода, как, так сказать, песня как культурный код мирового уровня, лежит в очень милом, я не скажу, чтобы уж особенно высокого уровня научного, но зато очень полезном практическом исследовании Жильбера Рапая, идея которого была именно в том, что если мы осваиваем какие-то единицы кода того сообщества, куда мы хотим попасть, мы становимся своим, и в этом суть. Мы отобрали 61 песню, причем для Франции очень важны и такие, казалось бы, далекие от привычной попсы песни, как гимн Франции, как революционные песни, народные песни, рождественские хоралы, которые знает каждый француз. И мы взяли в этот список не только знаменитые песни, которые мы с вами все знаем, но и песни последних лет, 2-3 последних лет. Сейчас, секундочку. И разработали довольно большое количество критериев, по которым мы могли оценивать песню. Ну, во-первых, чисто преподавательские аспектные навыки. Во-вторых, и самое это главное для нас, это культурологическая значимость песни. Причем, как вы видите, здесь много подразделений. Возможно, это интересный сюжет, возможно, это эпоха, возможно, очень важны автор песни или исполнитель песни. Возможно, особенно для песен, которые мы с вами знаем, но которые, конечно же, молодые люди могут забыть, это перепетые песни. И, наконец, очень интересная подборка, если мы берем какие-то песни, которые имеют уже переводы или иноязычные версии, что не обязательно перевод, тоже очень важный параметр. Третий подвид – это эстетичность. И тут мы как раз попадаем на то, что студенты и преподаватели по-разному чувствуют эстетику песни. Ну, конечно, четвертый параметр большой – это легкость исполнения. Причем либо может ли спеть это простой студент, не занимавшийся, так сказать, в музыкальной школе, и можно ли это спеть хором. Но обращаю ваше внимание на 5-й, на 6-й индикатор. Возможность создания какого-либо методического аппарата, комикса, видео, что мы и делали, или какие-то упражнения. И, наконец, возможность использования песни, что сейчас особенно актуально, как фона при съемках видеопроекта, а мы с Натальей Ивановной Жабо, авторы более чем 10 таких видеопроектов, призываем вас, так сказать, посмотреть их. И какие-то примеры для совершенно, так сказать, applied, для лекций, для анализа в аспекте межкультурной коммуникации, просто как таковое. Вот примерно так выглядит таблица. Опять же, потому что исполнитель не менее важен часто бывает, чем сама песня, и ее 14 индикаторов, по которым мы оцениваем каждую песню. Тут у нас, конечно, расхождение, это, в общем-то, такое экспертное сообщество собралось, несколько человек, и мы хором говорили, что нам важно для этой песни, используем ли мы ее.
Марина Юрьевна, Зак, я прошу прощения, там должны слайды переключаться у вас, они как-то не переключаются.
Наташа, ну-ка иди сюда. А слайды на каком месте застряли?
На первом у меня. Вот я поэтому пытаюсь
не
вклиниться.
А хорошо, сейчас мы сделаем по-другому.
Матушка, как же ты так?
Ну я-то здесь при чем? Сейчас, секундочку.
Ты у нас главный по этой части.
Так, вот сейчас слайд виден?
Нет.
Сейчас видны слайды?
Первый виден, да, так.
Сейчас?
Дальше. Нет.
Нет? Я же тебе говорю. Сейчас. Ой, секунду, господи.
Наталья Ивановна, вы можете мне, если отправить это все быстро?
А мы отправляли.
Нет,
она не у меня тогда презентация, а у модератора.
Дело в том, что там есть песни.
Так, подождите секунду, я сейчас чуть-чуть, буквально 1 секунду, я перезагружу, то есть перевставлю. Окей. Так, поделиться экраном. Открыть презентацию.
Может, надо было вот это просто открыть. Ой, Господи, где он? Это не то совсем. Вот это надо открыть, и все, и будет хорошо.
Это оно? Это
Нет, это вообще не наше вообще.
Господи, где все называется одинаково.
Ну, потому что ИИЯ делает прекрасные конференции. И у нас на этом компьютере как раз все ИИЯ и есть.
Так, вот она. Сейчас
И?
я делюсь, я просто делюсь экраном. Я привыкла к своему ноутбуку, у меня там все показывает. Сейчас вы просто посмотрите, пожалуйста, меняются ли слайды. Вот если я буду делать просто так, меняются?
Да, так меняются, руками. Да.
Все, тогда...
Я тогда не буду возвращаться к целям, гипотезам и так далее, потому что я их достаточно проговорила, но покажу, тем не менее, таблицу. Вот такая таблица, в которой помещены песни и вот расставлены плюсики в том смысле, в котором мы считаем эту песню годной для использования. Так вот, очень важно, один из самых главных выводов, это то, что достаточно одного плюсика. Совсем не обязательно, чтобы песня была многозначна по части использования в межкультурной коммуникации. И поэтому мы сделали вот такие выводы, что главное для нас в данной конкретной работе – это культурологическая значимость, то есть ассоциативные ряды. Мы обучаем людей понимать, что кроется, собственно говоря, за историей этой песни, за особенностями ее исполнения. И, как я сказала, достаточно одного плюсика. И очень важно, что не надо при этом искать простенькие песни. Вот по Выгодскому это называется зона ближайшего развития. Песня может быть очень сложной по форме, но эта форма преодолевается. Вот, в частности, один из таких плюсиков – это великая для Канады песня, простая народная французская песня, очень пользующаяся большим успехом во Франции, но для Канады это совершенно другое дело. «À la claire fontaine», я думаю, что вы сейчас ее вспомните, я просто ее сама спою. «À la claire fontaine, m'en allant promener, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle que je me suis baignée. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime, jamais je ne t'oublierai». Эта песня стала, как вы видите, сверху написано по-французски, но я думаю, легко читаться, исторически очень важной для переселенцев из Франции, как вы видите, в Канаде, в Акадии, в Луизиане, по реке Святого Лаврентия, на Великих озерах, по Миссисипи и с севера Большой Прерии. И для квебекцев-франкофонов это национальный гимн с 1878 года. Именно поэтому и англоговорящие канадцы, тоже учащие обязательно французский язык, владеют этой песней. И, как вы видите, в 2008 году вышел популярный фильм, он получил французскую премию «Сезар», «I love you so long». Это перевод припева этой песни. Вот для чего берется эта песня? Конечно, ее очень легко петь, это понятно, но, тем не менее, вот она для чего берется. И по-другому можно использовать песню в работе. Мы берем саму тему юмора. Как вы видите, бабушка, выскакивающая из его окошка, это скетч юмористический, письмо старушки своему банку. У нее сняли 30 евро за то, что она на 3 секунды позже получила пенсию, и в банк ушла оплата ее квартплаты, и ей начислили пени. И тогда она написала веселое письмо, которое кончалось так. После того, как я все вам это сделаю, там буду получать по чекам и так далее, так вот, чтобы вы мне обязательно должны были позвонить и узнать, как дела, вы должны будете набрать у меня на телефоне 1, 2, 3 или 4 по языкам, потому что я говорю 86 лет на 4 языках, и прежде чем со мной поговорить, вы должны будете услышать длинное пропевание мною самою песенки «Маленький человечек из пены». Сейчас попробую. Наташа, а как это прям вот так я нажимаю, и все пойдет? Странно. Стою. Чуть-чуть нам надо, просто чтобы
Я
услышать.
поняла. Ёлки-палки, что же не творит? Сейчас мы сделаем по-другому. Слайд-шоу с текущего слайда, вот тогда оно все покажет. Так, вам же видно все сейчас?
Ну, и что видно?
Ничего не
Да-да-да, мы видим слайд ваш.
Я вижу, что слайд-шоу с текущего. Вот, теперь мы, видите, вот сейчас,
Ну,
смотрите.
Давай нам покажи что-нибудь, хоть послушаем, да?
Даю.
Чуть-чуть. Куда серединку угони. Ну,
Звук был?
А вы слышали звук?
Я же говорю, что это...
Наташенька, все достаточно, этого достаточно. Ты поработала, молодец. А теперь
Дело
вернись,
в этом.
пожалуйста, в мою презентацию, будь добра. Я поняла. То, что значит делать 7 пар в день, каждый день недели. Придется оставить
вот.
вас... Ну, уже проехали.
Нет.
Наташа, у нас мало времени, да?
Да.
Давай я договорю лучше. В чем дело? Вот такая песня. А вы меня слышите сейчас, да?
Я не понимаю.
Да-да-да, мы слышим.
Вот.
А
Значит,
слайды
это
меняются?
все достаточно,
Да
Наташа.
я не могу, не выходит.
Отдохни.
Ниоткуда. Вот.
Да.
Мы опять вылетели из...
Ну, вылетели из...
Я тебе говорю,
Марина Юрьевна, я могу включить презентацию вашу и
Нет,
попробовать.
больше не будет никаких. Я просто не буду ничего давать. Извиняюсь. Возвращаюсь к этой даме. Суть. Вы знаете, в чем дело. Эту песню «Le petit bonhomme en mousse qui se lance et rate le plongeoir». Вся суть в том, что маленький человечек из пены забирается на трамплин, бросается вниз, чтобы попасть в бассейн, и промазывает. И вся суть в том, что каждого из нас ждет такие неудачи, сказал Патрик Себастьян, а это супергерой последних 20 лет. В течение 20 лет, до 19 года мая, каждые 2 недели вся Франция приникала к экранам и смотрела в субботу потрясающее представление, цирковое, песенное, всевозможное, вот во главе с этим человеком. И эта песня звучала 20 лет. Вы можете себе представить, насколько каждый француз ее знает. У нас она совершенно неизвестна. И для нас это очень важно показать, что если, ну, представьте, 2 поколения французов слышат ее каждые 2 недели, наверное, уж все ее знают, а у нас она никаким образом не прошла, потому что ее надо переводить, она осмысленная очень. Я перехожу к следующей идее, и вот эта идея для нас самая главная в этом докладе. Да, неприличная фотография, уж вы простите, такой видит себя 16-летняя лицеистка из-под Парижа, простая девочка из семьи, поющей всегда, простых арабов, небогатая, которая, посмотрите, пожалуйста, что получилось. В июне 2020 года она выскакивает в интернет-порталы, обратите внимание, 243 миллиона просмотров в YouTube. Каждый месяц 1 300 000 юзеров слушают ее на Spotify. У нее 50 тысяч в Фейсбуке друзей. У нее 110 тысяч в Твиттере, 2 миллиона 200 тысяч в Снэпчате и, наконец, 2 миллиона 500 тысяч в ТикТоке. Это чемпионка из чемпионок. За один единственный месяц, когда она пустила свою новую песню «Коко», она получила сразу 5 миллионов просмотров. Она настолько фантастична, вот, к сожалению, я не могу вам показать, но если вы посмотрите ее в песню Аниса, она туда врезала это. Она начала особый вид нового песенного творчества. Это по-настоящему время коронавируса. Не нужно ей выступать в Олимпии, не нужно ей связываться с импресарио. И в этом суть. Образуется сообщество, и вы понимаете, какое. Это просто даже удивительно подумать. И оно непосредственно связано с этой 16-летней девочкой. она не всегда так неприлично выглядит. Обычно она в таком спортивном костюмчике, в кроссовках и делает специальные ошибки. Вот здесь очень важно. Вот она посерединочке Жан-Люк Меланшон, и вот дальше идет черно выделенная ошибка. Макрон, выйди из моего поля зрения, сказал один из крупнейших политиков Франции, совершая ту самую ошибку, цитирую ее, отсутствие глагола, связки. И она специально врезала в свою песню Анисса училку, причем очень симпатичную, красивую, которая делает ей замечание. Ай-яй-яй, говорит она, что ж ты так сделала ошибку? Она улыбается, поворачивается опять к зрителям и продолжает петь с этой ошибкой. Эта ошибка стала ее главным козырем. Она обращается к простым 13-14-летним слушателям. И вот через какие-то полгода после такого взлета ею заинтересовались очень крупные социологи, и вот в частности и лингвистка Аврора Винсенти, работающая на ведущий словарь Франции Ле Робер и написавшая книжку «Слова асфальта». «Слова асфальта». Что очень важно, что выделила Аврора Винсенти, эта девочка вызывает у нас imaginaire commun. Что это значит? Это общее для простых людей представление о прекрасном. Вот представление о каких-то мечтах. Поэтому она вот в такой некрасивой одежде. Вежден, как вы видите, в 5 декабря уже получила все виды призов. Продолжение того же самого движения, но уже более строгое. Это победа 2 девочек. Вот сейчас вообще Валентина заняла 1 место в Eurovision Junior, а в 2019 году Франция завоевала 6 место на этом же Eurovision Junior с девчоночкой совсем 13 лет, вот Валентине там 12, по-моему, лет, совсем маленькие девочки, а там была Карла Лаззари. Вот справа вы видите 2 публикации, которые мы написали в этом году, именно заинтересовавшись со всеми этими изменениями. Но я хочу сказать, что вот здесь важно, что тут работают взрослые. Вежден пишет сама себе, и у нее такие эффекты. А вот Валентина имела текст четко прописанный, очевидно, человеком, который ходит к психофизиологу или психиатру или психоаналитику, потому что здесь очень сложная грамматика, в частности, я выделила зелененьким и синеньким, субстантивация целого грамматического выражения с глаголом. 2 раза вот в первом случае, 2 раз во втором, 3 раз. И я хочу сказать, что на самом деле эта песня вроде бы, она такая осмысленно обращается к каким-то тоже вроде бы детям, развлекайся, кричи свою песню, так сказать, на полное горло и пой со мной ля-ля-ля. Не пошла. Они создали для победы в Евровижене достаточно большое количество лайков, она победила, и я проследила дальше. И начиная с января никто не слушает вот эту песню. Именно потому, что они работали по старинке. А Вежден, она держит свой iPhone перед носом, и никакой другой вообще, ни аппаратуры, ни какой-то посреднической деятельности между ней и ее слушателями нету. Таким образом, они пишут ей постоянно впрямую, и образуется сообщество, и для нас это самое главное, что получилось в 2020 году. Мы обратили на это внимание и с точки зрения прессы, то есть сейчас большая группа скандинавов продвигает саму идею, что общество медиатизировано. Так вот, они имеют в виду именно, что пресса влияет на людей. Но нет, здесь получается такой комплекс. Вот выступает Вежден, и у нее образуется, вот с ее словами, с ее какими-то интервью, единый лингвистический комплекс, включающий отзывы ее слушателей. Это поразительная вещь. Когда мы даем студентам такой материал, мы имеем прекрасный отклик. Вот посмотрите, пожалуйста, наши студенты ставят рингтоном Марсельезу. Тогда мы разбираем символы Франции. Ставят подмосковные вечера на французском языке. Они абсолютно не подмосковные вечера, а они не переведены. Они написаны на тему поэзии Парижской коммуны. Наши студенты пишут себе рингтоны или разыгрывают арии мюзиклов на разных языках. Они любят шутки, флешмобы. И вот песня в истории, им очень понравилась сама идея «Са и Ра», которую мы хорошо знаем, как ошибочно исполненную в «Трех мушкетерах». Ну, какие у нас выводы? Действительно, совершенно необыкновенно получилось, что целый, ну, как сказать, целый бизнес, который мы, даже не думая, называем шоу-бизнес, обрушивается. Потому что певцу теперь вообще не надо никакого посредника. Ему не нужно никого, кроме самого себя. А как же он тогда получает слушателей? Это большая загадка ТикТока, Ютуба и так далее. Тем не менее, вот второе, что мы, я уже сказала, да, второе, что на что мы обращаем внимание, что человек, который хочет попасть как свой в какое-то сообщество, должен, среди прочего, и знать элементы песенного характера. И очень важно, что с точки зрения аспектной песня является очень и очень второстепенным элементом методического плана. Зато с точки зрения страноведения, истории, этнопсихологии этот материал имеет огромное значение. И я сейчас покажу, что я сделала, я этим завершаю. Я зашла прямо сейчас, вот, до выступления, в интернет, написав песенки для 26 марта 2021 года. Мне сразу выскочили несколько предложений. Ну вот то, что я распечатала, это топ-20 на 26 марта 2021 года. Что приятно, из 20 песен, рекомендуемых на радио, опять же, мы опять возвращаемся назад, радио, тем не менее, из них 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 все-таки французские. Конечно, 14 английских, но это само собой. Но все-таки 6 французских. Большое спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So if we decided to stick to English in our meta communication, let it be so. All right, thank you very much.
Answer in English.
Yeah. Any questions? I don't see any hands, but the presentation was fascinating. Thank you very much. This approach of introducing songs into the English, or not, in your case, French course, yeah, is a foreign language course, is excellent. I can't sing. I feel very much deprived of this.
You needn't.
I know, but
now we can just hear it.
Yeah, that's why I just have
iPhone. You have this. You have no.
I just use my gadgets to do it. So I always feel kind of jealous of people who can sing. Thank you very much. So any questions? No, I don't see any questions. I wonder why. Right. Okay. So thank you very much. If there are no more questions, probably they will appear somewhere at the end of our session. And the next presentation is also about music. It's also about musical education as a means of intercultural communication. And it will be presented by Julia Danilova from Rostov-on-Don, Southern Federal University. Julia, I can share a presentation for you. You just tell me what to do, yeah? When to turn off the next slide. Where is Julia?
Please. Меня видно?
Так, да, вас видно. Появляется ваша презентация. Видите ли вы ее сами?
Сейчас, секундочку. Все работает. Так.
Юлия Владимировна, я правильно понимаю, вы по-русски будете, но презентация на английском?
Да, по-русски.
So she will speak Russian, but the presentation is in English. So please let me know when to go to the next, to switch to the next slide.
Хочу с вами поздороваться. Зовут меня Данилова Юлия, я являюсь аспирантом Южного федерального университета И помимо того, что я аспирант, я являюсь еще педагогом дополнительного образования. И тема моего исследования звучит так: музыкальная информационная среда развития межкультурных коммуникаций обучающихся. Музыкальное обучение как средство межкультурной коммуникации, иначе говоря. Я пришла к такому выводу. Межкультурную коммуникацию обеспечивают информационные процессы, одним из элементов которых может быть песня, как объективированная в языке и музыке информация. Информация — отражение одного явления в другом. Она не может существовать вне объекта. В своей презентации я отобразила цель исследования, объект исследования, их дублировать не буду. Я сейчас хочу озвучить именно свои наблюдения по поводу данного исследования. Как процесс сочинения, так и исполнения песни происходит обработка информации, нот и слов, и получается конечный особенный продукт. Песня, являясь результатом духовного производства, уже интеллектуально обработанная информация. Поэтому в коммуникации через песню происходит обмен данными высшего порядка. При этом для слушателя имеет значение только та песня, которая воспринята, синтаксический фильтр, понятно ему, семантический фильтр, и полезно, прагматический фильтр. Результатом разучивания песни выступает человек в усовершенствованном качестве. Для семантической коммуникации необходимо знать язык, чтобы понимать слова песни для взаимодействия посредством музыки. Этого не требуется. Ярким примером может послужить романс «Дорогой длинною», написанный в 1924 году композитором Фоминым. В советский период России долгое время данное произведение не исполнялось. В 1968 году эта песня с английскими словами Раскина и новым названием «Those were the days» в исполнении Мэри Хопкинс заняла первое место в британском и второе в американских хит-парадах. Песня была переведена на множество языков: голландский, литовский, итальянский, испанский. Я хочу вам немножечко напомнить, я подготовилась, у меня с собой инструмент, я хочу вам дать возможность вспомнить эту песню. Дорогой длинною, да ночкой лунною, да с песней стой, что вдаль летит звеня, и с той старинною, да семиструнною, что по ночам так мучила меня. Также эту песенку я вам хочу немножечко спеть, кусочек на английском языке. Я о чем говорю? То, что язык музыки, он понятен всем народам. Так, на английском языке песню, которую исполняла Мэри Хопкинс. Those were the days, my friend, we prove they never end. We sit and dance forever and a day. With lives and lies, with choose, with fight and never lose. Forever young and sure to head the way. Так. Перехожу дальше. Также хотелось обратить внимание на другие композиции, такие как «Катюша», которая переведена на многие языки, в том числе пользуется в Китае большой популярностью, как мне известно. «Подмосковные вечера» пользуются большой популярностью. Также песня Эдуарда Хиль, вокалист, который был особенно популярен в 2000-х годах, вы все знаете, набрало очень большое количество просмотров. Также еще есть такой феномен, еще такое прекрасное явление, это как Евровидение. Конкурс Евровидения, на конкурсе Евровидения некоторые участники исполняют песни на родных языках и получают высокие баллы от зрителей из других стран, которые точно не понимают текста. В частности, в 2003 году группа «Тату» исполняла песню на русском языке, заняла второе место. Мировое сообщество зачастую сталкивается с вопросом непонимания друг друга. Если мы не можем понять неизвестный нам язык, эмоциональный язык музыки понятен всем. Это позволяет объяснить на общих ценностях смысл произведений. Также хотелось бы обратить внимание, что в Гарвардском университете было проведено исследование, в котором приняли участие 750 человек из 60 стран мира. Им проиграли 260 тысяч отрывков произведений разных культур по 14 секунд. И в большинстве случаев участники эксперимента правильно определили жанр произведения, особенно правильно определяли все с разных культур, с разных стран мира, колыбельную песню и танцевальную. Я, помимо того, что исследователь, я являюсь педагогом доп. Образования, я работаю в школе искусств, преподаю вокал, фортепиано, и я немножко хочу рассказать о доступности дополнительного образования. Дополнительное образование и детские школы искусств развивают межкультурную коммуникацию посредством, во-первых, грамотно подобранного репертуара, развитием эмоциональной отзывчивости, изучением разнообразных жанров музыкальных, изучением мировой музыкальной культуры. Изучая музыкальную культуру народов, можно понять их традиции, душу, чувства. Также хотелось бы сказать, что если до конца 20 века музыкальному искусству могли обучаться только состоятельные слои населения, то сейчас ситуация изменилась в лучшую сторону. Доступность дополнительного образования Российской Федерации опережает такие страны, как Англия, США, Швеция, Таиланд, Испания. Также необходимо отметить изучение австралийских ученых, такого как Смита. Он сказал, что, исследуя проявление индивидуальности музыкантов в исполнительской деятельности, обнаружили, что привычка слушать другого человека и понимать его, которую воспитывает музыка, делает музыкантов мягче и терпимее. А также хочу сказать о своих наблюдениях. Дети, которые работают в коллективе, в вокальном коллективе, в инструментальном коллективе, они тренируются слышать и слушать друг друга. Дело в том, что в любом произведении есть главная мелодическая линия и второстепенная мелодическая линия, где необходимо уступить, где необходимо дать возможность другому человеку себя проявить. Также есть такой нюанс взаимопонимания на концертах и на конкурсах, когда, к примеру, из-за волнения исполнитель может забыть вступить, забыть спеть, забыть проиграть, и коллективу необходимо ему помочь, либо проиграть его мелодическую линию, либо вступить вместо него. И завершая свое выступление, я хочу завершить его словами Чайковского о том, что музыка есть сокровищница, в которой всякая национальность носит свое, на общую пользу. Исторически сложившиеся особенности музыки разных народов не разрушают единого музыкального пространства, а наоборот обогащают всеобщий музыкальный язык и музыкальную культуру разных народов мира. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much, Yulia Vladimirovna. Any questions from the audience? Thank you for singing, for your presentation. Of course, it would have been better if your presentation had something to do with your talk, yes? Because the presentation seemed to be a little bit different from what you have been saying. All right, thank you. Any questions? No. There is a question, please. Please, you. You're welcome.
And although I didn't catch up with the presentation, but I catch up with the slides and the introduction of the paper. And here I got one question to the speaker. And I understand fully your introduction of the way of teaching the, the musical way to help students to form the intercultural communication connection between the linguistic basics. But here I'm interested in one of the way to teach English in China now. No, it's not popular anymore, but before there is a drama teaching method similar to the musical, similar to your topic, I think. And in your teaching experience, is there anything concerning about the drama teaching thing? Because in China, it's not very, successful, because Chinese people's the personalities of Chinese people are a little bit shy, and drama is too dramatic and to pronounce something very dramatic. It's very difficult for them. But I think the musical way would be very, say, provoking to Chinese educators in, translinguistic teaching. And can I got some yes
feedback from her? What exactly the question? Probably Юлия Владимировна, вам нужен перевод, да? Вопрос.
Желательно.
So
Для точности ответа.
she would like me to translate the question. Could you repeat the question itself? Yes, for me to translate.
In China, there once was a popular way of teaching that is drama teaching method.
В Китае популярен метод обучения через драму, через театр, театральный метод. So, will you continue?
So, in her teaching experience, is there anything more stronger than the musical? So the musical delivery.
So do you mean that? I'm sorry, just I can't get the question.
Sorry, I'm not explaining myself very clearly. That's if for Chinese people, the drama teaching is not successful because of the personality. So in the speaker's teaching experience, did she ever consider the drama teaching or the musical play teaching?
Okay. Вы в своем опыте преподавания и обучения опыте вы рассматривали только музыкальные или еще и драму? И какой из них показался вам более эффективным? То есть театральный подход или подход только обучения через музыку? Потому что в Китае у них не получилось использовать театр в полном объеме именно из-за личностей китайцев. Они очень стеснялись, они очень переживали по поводу того, что выступают.
Спасибо за вопрос.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you for your question. Дело в том, что как и инструментальные, и вокальные произведения, я в частности являюсь преподавателем по вокалу, необходимо песню не просто исполнить, просто попасть в ноты и пропеть чисто, этого мало. Должна быть эмоциональная составляющая, эмоциональная отзывчивость. И, конечно, драма, она должна использовать, актерское мастерство, оно должно использоваться, чтобы человек смог прочувствовать произведение. Конечно, это все в совокупности, и как чистое интонирование и красивое звучание, и как актерское мастерство, это все в совокупности должно быть. Естественно, более того, на концерте исполнителю необходимо эмоционально донести до слушателя содержание произведения. Да, мы работаем в этих двух аспектах и не только развиваем вокальную составляющую, но еще работаем над личностью в плане актерского мастерства. Русский менталитет, он немножко отличается от китайского, от восточного. Русские, они, конечно, более эмоциональные люди. Это понятно, то, что у вас другая культура, другой менталитет. Поэтому это объяснимо все-таки.
Okay, I'll try to translate at least the main ideas, the essence. So what Julia answered. So the idea is that for her as a teacher of musical education, it is very important to use both drama elements and musical elements in her education process. But the most important component of her teaching is the emotional component. Yeah? So it's very important to teach students how to feel, how to express themselves through this emotional component. And of course, Russian students are not like Chinese students. It's a cultural feature that Russian students are more emotional, they're more open, they're less shy in their classes. So for teaching music, it's extremely important to combine both dramatic elements and musical elements.
And it's quite amazing that Russian students who visit our campus really reveal such kind of capability in dancing, singing, and then they charmed Chinese students to somehow fell in love with them and try to, they admire the Russian culture just because of those students. Russian students have shown them how beautiful the music and the dancing are, and then Chinese students were fascinated by those Russian students' ability in those arts fields. So that's amazing, and I really admire that kind of the teacher Julia who's doing her work so well. But I really hope that more and more Chinese students are trying to attend TV show to choose the pop star, and everybody try to review themselves ability in musical ways. So I think in very near future, I hope that please, Julia, visit our campus and to teach Chinese students how to open up to the world of music.
Okay, I'll tell her. Юлия Владимировна, перевод нужен?
Ну, я частично поняла.
Ну, вас приглашают в итоге. То есть Юла говорит о том, что в кампусе студенты из России, они пользуются всеобщей любовью, потому что они умеют выступать, петь, они открытые, с ними приятно общаться. И вас приглашают к ним в кампус, к ним в университет, чтобы помочь китайским студентам открыться.
Я думаю, мы можем обсудить этот вопрос. Почта ведь
So we can discuss this question of visiting your campus. All right. Thank you very much. So can we move on to the next presentation? I hope we can. So the next presentation is of linguistic nature, not of musical nature anymore. So it's the use of American slang in teaching English as a foreign language with social-linguistic approach. Presented by Marina Vorobyova, Veronika Filimonova, and Anna Sadovheva, Institute of Foreign Languages. So do you need our assistance, ladies?
No, thank you.
No. Yeah. So will you share your presentation with us?
Yes. Can you say if it's okay? Do you see any?
Could you speak a bit louder?
Скажите, пожалуйста, видны ли слайды и
Все
меняются ли
хорошо,
они
видно,
местами?
все
Да,
меняется,
всё,
everything is changing,
Я
everything is
ничего не
working.
слышу, простите, вообще только губы шевелятся. Говорите очень громко или куда-то в микрофон.
Постараюсь. У нас Марина Игоревна не будет с нами, потому что она другую статью презентует тоже. Вот. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, and today we are going to present the article which is titled Use of American Language English as a Foreign Language with Social-Linguistic Approach. The knowledge of English is a highly valuable skill in our daily life. Slang has always been a part of language, and slang of one foreign language or of one generation is often replaced with new slang by the following generation. But language teachers are generally against teaching slang because it is inappropriate in academic environment. But Jeremy Harmer wrote that teacher needs to find an approach to teach slang and the language in general, thanks to which students will effectively learn slang. Thus, the objective of our paper is to study slang in the modern communicative reality, considering social factors of language communities with social-linguistic approach, as well as to teach slang based on this knowledge. Thus, it is analyzed the theoretical understanding of slang as well as its pragmatic aspect by considering its cultural social context. The concept of slang has many definitions, as scientists couldn't come to a consensus. For example, Pamela Monroe gave slang the following definition. She wrote that slang is language whose use serves to mark the user as belonging to some distinct group within society. Therefore, people who belong more than one such group might use very different slang depending on who they are with. And according to Burdava, slang is considering as an independent, non-literally language formation existing in a language and closely connected with the terminology. And in our study, we understand slang as a category of colloquial informal expressions that take place in everyday communication. And people use slang to make their speech more expressive and emotional. And according to Anderson and Treadgill, people use a lot more slang by speaking than by writing. Thus, people use slang in their speech everywhere. Teenagers do it in order to encode their speech from adults. Young people tend to emphasize their belonging to a special communicational group, and adults use slang while being in any professional groups. And now we would like to talk about methodology of our study. The main research methods presented in this paper is qualitative descriptive method. It is heavily emphasized the analysis of a situational discourse where the language depends on extra-linguistic factors as well. The contact between the participants, proximity face-to-face or closer distant with other people, the choice of expressions, tone of voice, facial mimics, and gestures. But teaching slang in a classroom is a controversial issue, and there is very limited literature on it. Some educators lack of knowledge of slang due to the fact they are non-native speakers, therefore they don't consider to teach it. And watching movies have always been a powerful stimulus for students of any age. Thus, one of the best ways to introduce American slang to the students is through the movies. Utterance of discourse with slang were analyzed from pragmatic point of view in an animated movie, The Incredibles, directed by Brad Bird, where slang is mainly used at neutral level, reflects the realities of a daily life American culture. So on the slide you can see the picture from this movie, and there is a dialogue of which was analyzed in our research paper.
Pardon, can't see any slide with the picture.
And now?
Oh, yes, script. Yes. Yes.
And there is a script of this movie. So, Helen, do you have to read at the table? Bob, yeah. Helen, smaller bites, dash. Yikes. Bob, could you help the carnivore to cut his meat? Dash, you have something you want to tell your father about school? Dash, well, we dissected a frog. Helen, Dash got sent to the office again. Bob, good. Helen, no, Bob, that's bad. Bob, what? Helen, Dash got sent to the office again.
Bob,
What? What for? Dash. Nothing. Helen. He put a tag to the teacher's chair during class. Dash. Nobody saw me. You could barely see it on the tape. Bob. They caught you on tape and you still got away with it. Wow. You must have been booking. How fast do you think you are going? Helen. Bob. We are not encouraging this. Bob. No, I'm not encouraging. I'm just asking how fast Helen. Honey. And now we are glad to share with you some of our findings. And let me start with the first expression here. The main character uses it in the following part of dialogue. Helen, do you have to read at the table? Bob, yeah. The setting of the scene is a family dinner. The dialogue begins with a question from Helen to her husband Bob, who was busy reading the newspaper. He hesitated with the answer and replied, yeah. This expression is one of the most frequent manifestation of slang in everyday American language. Moving on to the next example, here we can see the word yaks in the following part of dialogue. Smaller bites dash yaks. Bob, could you help the carnivore cut his meat? Dash O. The expression yaks refers to slang and translated as fool. Using this word, Helen drew attention to dash behavior and considers it inappropriate for him to chew a big piece of meat. Going on to the next expression. Please, next expression. Yes, thank you. Going on to the next expression in the following part of dialogue, the word wanna in a sentence dash, you have something you want to tell your father about school. The expression wanna is a slang expression from the phrase want to. Such reductions are used by adults and young people. Wanna and gonna, the desire to switch to a very informal style of communication. Moving on to the next example. Here we can see the expression wow, and in the following part of dialogue. Bob, they caught you on tape and you still got away with it? Wow, you must have been booking. How fast did you think were you going? One of the most interesting findings for English learners is the expression wow. It is used everywhere and expresses a degree of admiration for something. In this dialogue, the father admires his son's super abilities with, forgetting that his son got attention of the director. Apart from that, in this sentence, there is a phraseology which is expressed in phrase have been booking and translated as быстро убежать. And the last example is represented in the slide. The word honey in the following part of dialogue. Bob, I'm not encouraging, I'm just asking how fast. Helen, honey. The most common diminutive word is the expression honey. That was the expression Helen used when she addressed her husband. This slang is used in relation to relatives, to the family, or to a very close cycle of communication and friends. And now, after the work which we have done, we made conclusions. For English learners, this dialogue will help to understand a close relationship of their communications. The slang that is used here is differ according to the ages and gender. Slang is phenomenon for second language learners, but is a part of a daily discourse of native speakers.
Slang is changing, progressive, and socially restricted part of the language that requires a comprehensive approach to learning, translating, and using it in everyday life. Teaching slang could be challenging, as its understanding depends directly on the context and social linguistic knowledge of a certain culture. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, girls. Any questions to the girls? Yeah, I see you. Please, will you turn on your microphone? Could you kindly turn on your microphone?
Yes.
Yes, Lisa. Go ahead,
Yes,
please.
yes. Now, as far as I understand, you took dialogues from where?
From the movie Incredibles.
Yes, it's a Disney
literary text. It's a literary text, or films, or what movies?
It is a movie.
Movies.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for children.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Why not to choose another thing? It's just a proposal, perhaps, but I find much more really necessary examples in the comments for political papers in media, of course, and there are a lot different things, because what I saw in your presentation, it's something very known, quite known, everybody knows wow, but there are other things quite new and perhaps dialectal, or responding to some demands of American variants or British variants, why not to use it?
Of course, there are a lot of slang in other spheres, but we would like to make parallels between teaching slang for children or for young people, and we think
children.
that
you teach
yes,
for
teaching for teenagers, for young people, for children, yes.
Yeah.
And we think that a movie is more appropriate for children and young people, because it's more
Я скажу
interesting.
по-русски очень смешную вещь. У меня есть выпускница, которая очень хорошо вышивает. Она участвует в всевозможных выставках по вышивках. Она блестяще это делает. И она мне горько сказала: вы знаете, Марина Юрьевна, сколько угодно учебников для начинающих по вышивке, и ни одного для мастеров. Вот понимаете, вау, мы знаем все. Ну не может быть не знать. Но вот есть какие-то новые, свежие, молодежные высказывания, которые можно выловить в каких-то других местах. Мне кажется, вот материал требует освежения. Выводы прекрасны, но материал.
Thank you very much for your...
Sorry. We'll think about it.
No, thank you very much. I have also a question, girls. The idea of slang. Slang is a very heterogeneous concept. It's a huge, level here of lexes, let it be in your case. But which part of it are you going to teach? Are you suggesting that we should teach in classroom? Youth slang, college slang, I don't know, political slang, whatever. What kind of slang is supposed to be taught in classroom? Let it be children anyway.
Yeah, I believe that the main idea of our article and about teaching slang, it's not like teaching slang as level of linguistic, it's like teaching English through the slang, through daily vocabulary, and but by the way, I believe that it's rather useful to know some political slangs, some technique slang, or some like not root slang, like slang in some professional spheres. So yeah, I think that we should.
So I think you should, yeah, very good. I think this is your diploma project, yes? And
yes.
Just get ready to answer questions, because in this form that you have presented, you're bound to receive quite a lot of questions from the board, from the examination board, speaking about the basic definition of slang, the kinds of slang, and the application of slang here, if you're searching for application. All right, I see even 2 hands. Please, you, Yang, please, will you ask a question to the girls?
Hello, girls. And I just got one suggestion, that is, in China nowadays, kindergarten kids are using a app to practice their spoken English. That is a kind of dubbing app. Dubbing means a foreign movie, and the movie roles are talking, but the sound track were removed. Are filling in sound by themselves. So by this kind of app, actually they are doing what you want to teach them in the classroom, and in a more vivid way, and the experience is more, say, firsthand. Right? That's my suggestion. The people are doing that, and that kind of dubbing app are free. Those apps are free, so I'm afraid, our brain, maybe our hands, cannot compete with those computers or the databases. It's too big, too vast, and the research need to be dig in a more profound way, deeper and vaster.
That's my favorite word, dig deeper. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, but
thank you.
If we are talking about schools in Russia, I think that there are a lot of children who don't like to learn English, and of course don't like to watch movies on foreign language because they don't understand it. And
so
I think that
China, different. In China,
yes,
sorry to interrupt you, but China parents were forced to help their kids to Learn English. They were forced to do that by the teacher. So the kids are doing the dubbing things with their parents as a assignment every day, and upload it to their kindergarten teachers to listen to that. If it's not standard, then the next day they're going to be punished.
That's perfect, by the way, perfect approach. I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, really.
But maybe that's why I didn't get a kid. I think it's too much a burden.
And I bet it works. Yeah, I'm absolutely serious.
It works. It works. Even 9 years old, my nephew, who's 9 years old, could recite Shakespeare.
Oh.
But just a little bit. And for me, who's doing my first degree in English language and literature, I totally forget Shakespeare.
Minded girls. Anyway. So that's, by the way, a very useful suggestion. I mean, very great idea, because now everything is technological, and if you really want to dig deeper, you should dig deeper.
That dubbing app is free to use, and you got too many versions and in China. So please do some research in that field and search for and that app could give you great data. That's a good source for data.
Good.
Thank you so much for your ideas. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
So, Alla Anatolievna, I see your hand.
So, yeah, Diana, Veronica, actually great report. I'm not an expert, and I failed many times when students asked to translate some words from the songs. So I would like to ask you questions, because you are into the problem. Do you see the difference between buzzwords, как модные словечки, and slang?
Well, I believe that there is a difference, because slang is something that occur in our life, and it's like a part of our life. And some like fashion words, some new words, it's can be disappear after 1 day, after 1 hour, and slang doesn't.
Okay. Thank you very much. And a question to you both, yeah? while I was listening to you, I suppose it's a real good idea how to raise interest, yeah, and possibly maybe teenagers will be interested in learning English, watching films, listening to songs. Didn't you think about kind of a job? You can present a dialogue with some slangy words, and you can ask your students to transfer into neutral or maybe formal format. And of course, maybe teachers can help and show some dictionaries. And what do you think? Could it work or not?
I think that it will help to find equivalence in ordinary words. Yeah. And of course, it will be useful for understanding slang and for understanding ordinary words and for learning it. It's yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So they received too many questions probably for them. All right, thank you, girls. Thank you, dear participants. But we have one more presentation, and we need, because we're falling behind, we need to do it, yes, to catch up with our timing. And this is the presentation on metaphors, emotion metaphors in British and American fiction. And the presenters are Angelika Ayropetyan and Maria Stepanova.
Good afternoon. Now I'll share my presentation. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here today and for letting me be a part of this scientific community. So the research that I'm going to present to you today is called Can you see the presentation?
It's loading. Yeah.
So our research is called Conceptual Emotion Metaphors in British and American Fiction. This research was made with the assistance of Ayropetyan Angelika Georgievna, and I guess we should start. Here you can see the plan of our research, which consists of 4 main parts. And now we may pass over to the introduction. So in the last 2 decades or so, both linguistic semantics and other related disciplines that focus on meaning and thinking have faced the increasing interest in figurative language, which centers on the occurrence of some words and word combinations with the extended or transferred meaning. Such words are called tropes, and the principal trope in any language is a metaphor. For most of us, metaphor is a figure of speech that implies comparison between 2 unlike entities, but this is just a traditional view on metaphors, and according to cognitive linguistics, a metaphor is a property of concepts and not of words, and they claim that the function of metaphor is to better understand certain concepts. So, concepts are fragments of worldview, and they are often reflected in any language metaphorically. Thus, we can name such concepts like house and home, family, food, animals, etc. But the correlation between metaphors and concepts is being studied not well in modern linguistics, and this fact concerns the conceptual field emotions. So many scholars appeal to the human emotional sphere and its representation in language by example of different emotions. One of the principal approaches towards the emotional surface is the textual analysis, particularly stylistic analysis. The choice of our topic is determined by the general direction of linguistic research investigating the nature of the category of emotiveness, but emotions, which are source domains for conceptual metaphors, have never been the objects of any investigations, And in our article, we decided to review the cases of emotion metaphors used in English-speaking prose and to analyze the conceptual models of emotion metaphors functioning in the literary context. Here you can see the objective of our work. We decided to investigate emotions as a source domains for conceptual metaphor modeling and to determine their linguistic and cognitive realization in literary texts. Here you can see the methods that we've used in our research, and as you can see, our article is divided into 3 main parts, which you can also see on the slide. I guess now we may pass over to the main part of our research. I would like to avoid some details and some names to save everyone's time, but you will be able to find the exact information in our article. To begin with, emotions are being studied in philosophy, psychology, sociology, and physiology, but also in linguistics. So linguistics began studying emotion not so long ago, in the second part of the 20th century, though the issue of whether linguistics should deal with emotional states was the subject of discussion since the 19th century. The main problem is the linguistic representation of emotions, aka the problem of their manifestation in the language and speech. According to scholars, a concept is a mental reflection of the objective world in the person's or nation's consciousness. The concept is known by a person both mentally and verbally. An emotion concept is a verbal emotion which reflects the emotional experience of both the individuals and the whole society. The lexeme is the most important means of verbalizing an emotional concept. According to Anna Vizhbitskaya, she points out 4 main groups of emotions, which are negative emotions, positive emotions, self-emotions, and emotions that represent the relationship between people. You can see the examples of these emotions on the slide. The above mentioned names of emotions represent different concepts. There are anger concept, joy concept, love concept, and so on. But speaking of the emotion concepts, one can distinguish conceptual or cognitive metaphors, which play a great role in the figurative representation of emotions. So we decided to study conceptual metaphors of emotions used in fiction. Anger. Anger is a negative emotion. The concept of anger is the most used concept among the emotional concepts. It has a number of metaphorical source domains, and we can find a great number of conceptual metaphors based on anger emotions in literary texts. For example, anger is a hot fluid in a container. This conceptual model is based on the situation when anger as a hot fluid is inside the closed capacity. For example, a human's body can be such capacity. Next, we have anger is wild, aggressive animal. The metaphor that represents anger as wild, aggressive animal reflects the danger for a person who is facing a furious one. Here, the behavior of a man who can't control himself is like the behavior of an aggressive animal that is going to attack. Fear. Fear is also a negative emotion. It is an emotional response, which is set off by perceiving danger. Fear is also a negative concept, as I said earlier, but it is widely represented in fiction. Analyzing the literary text, we found the following metaphorical models concerning fear emotion. For example, fear is compared to illness, to frost, or to flood. Here you can see the examples. Happiness. Happiness is a positive concept. First of all, we found that happiness is building on sand. The source of this metaphor is a biblical passage. A foolish man built his house on the sand, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. It's Gospel of Matthew. According to the writer, happiness is very fragile, not permanent. It's like a house built on the sand, and it can be destroyed at any moment. Happiness is also compared to fire. Here, happiness is correlated with the heart, where the main characters in love, or the burning happiness means the heart that is burning from love. Sadness is also a negative emotion. It is represented by feelings of loss, loneliness, and disadvantage. Sadness can be compared to bottom. Sadness is bottom. The description of the character's depressed mood is resumed by expression at the bottom that lets to construct the metaphor sadness is bottom. Sadness is also conceptualized as fluid. One can be drowning in sadness. Sadness is also compared to music, to birds, etc., etc. There are many concepts of sadness representation. Love metaphors are functioning in literary text very often because love is a feeling that plays a great role in the plot and in the author's narration and in composition of any novel or story. For example, here love is compared to happiness, and it is personified because not only the character is laughing, but love is laughing itself too. So, having studied the literary context, with the representation of 5 mainly used emotions, we mark some conceptual metaphors. The emotions and their domains are shown in this table. Our study raised such interesting problems as the correlation of metaphor and emotion in literary text, but we did not explore so many conceptual emotion metaphors due to the limited scope of the article. And to our mind, it would be very interesting to describe other metaphorical possibilities of other emotion in English-speaking literature. I guess that's all. Thank you all for your attention. I would be glad to answer your questions if you have any.
So thank you very much, Maria Sergeyevna, for your presentation. Questions, please. I actually, consider myself as a specialist in emotional linguistics. Can I ask you a question? First of all, your definition of emotional concept can be subjected to criticism, really. That's why I'm not going to say anything now, but for the future, please be more attentive when you choose the definition of emotional concept. Because concept is a mental representation anyway, yes? It can be verbalized, but it's a mental representation. But it's not what you have written in your slide. I'm sorry. Sorry to say, just be more attentive. Okay, please, Marina Yurievna, you have a question.
Yes, because I am a psychologist. And that's why I was quite interested, even when I read you. But my first question is, please prove that you can unify in one little research such kind of material. It's just the opposite sense. The previous girls proposed a narrowly focused research, and this one, can you really see that Rowling and Hemingway and Moore and Wilde are the same in expressing metaphors? Oh no, they are quite different. It's such a difference that you cannot unify them.
And so many emotions, right?
Saying American and English metaphors. Oh no. People are quite different in this direction of expressing their soul. Are you sure that happiness is an emotion? Prove it.
Or love, for example.
Well, there are 4 basic emotions. It's a very, very interesting research, but you must make it narrowly. You cannot unify such different, quite different, people that are not in connection between each other. They are not from the same school. If you take lake poetry, of course, you can compare Wordsworth and anybody else. But when you go out of a school, out of an epoch, because it was a tradition to express metaphors, you understand that it was a tradition in such an epoch and a tendency for romanticism, for instance. But believe me, Hemingway has nothing to do with Rowling.
Maria Sergeyevna, would you kind of respond?
Yes.
Prove your point of view.
Well, first of all, thank you for your questions and for your suggestions, I guess. I will try to be more narrow in my research.
In what way?
I guess I'll take for the first time, I'll take, for example, British authors, because the manner of writing is different. It's quite different from American one. And I would like to, I was just trying to find the representation of different emotions. It's like obviously not all of them, obviously not all the representations, but I tried to find the figurative, let's say, representation again of these feelings, of these emotions. So I guess I need to go like not as large as I did.
Maria Sergeyevna, don't give up so easily. Your key question, your key issue was that you decided to study conceptual metaphors.
Yeah.
Yeah? Not artistic, not literary metaphors. And that's probably something that requires separate attention. Yeah, but the concept of emotion itself should be kind of a little bit analyzed, at least for you yourself personally. What is emotion and what is not emotion? Why do you think that love is emotion? Who said so? What happens? Yeah, all right. So just, it's a very slippery, you know, very tricky thing.
You have to read first, of course. Vilunas, for instance, number one for you, it's Vilunas.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
No, for example, all the feelings, all the emotions are very subjective, because I perceive love not only as a feeling but also as an emotion, because love like occurs within several emotions, and I guess we can also observe love from the point of view of emotiveness.
Maria, do you understand that love, it's sometimes a hatred, sometimes a friendship, sometimes an indifference because there is some kind of, you know, money questions. You know, it's such a different thing. And if even you study love, it's not an emotion, you study love, you will be in such a notion of emotions if even you study the expression of love. Nobody knows what love is. There is no definition of love. There is a definition of friendship, but there is no for love.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marina Yurin. I think Maria Sergeyevna and her research advisor will think about it. Yes, again, dig deeper. That's the slogan for all kind of research. Yeah? Try to find more, something go beyond your regular concepts. Yeah? All right. Thank you very much. I think we should finish. We should be finished because we're a little bit falling behind with our schedule. But I would like to ask my my respected participants, if you have any questions, if you want to say something, if you have any comments on our section, on our panel. Sorry. All right. So everybody's silent. Probably you've expressed all your questions, and that's my turn to say thank you. Thank you to all of you for coming here online, virtually. Yes, I really hope that someday we will meet in person, not through the internet, which is kind of a tiresome experience here. And we will be able to discuss their concepts and their issues offline with you. Thank you very much for your presence, for your presentations, for your questions, for your discussion. And I really hope to see all of you back in November, in our November conference, to our November conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Anna. And thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we have a break. Now we have a 15-minute break, and then our panel will be continued. And Lyudmila Alexeyevna Yegorova will be the host of it. Yes, the panel are leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a nice break.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Бай-бай, хорошо тогда. Микрофон.